Why would I do business with you? Whether that's a candidate asking you the question, why would I join your team? Or if I'm a potential customer, why would I do business with you? That is the one single question many companies fail to answer correctly. And today we're going to address that. My name is Antarctic Mike. I'm a keynote speaker and a storyteller. And today I'm going to help you understand how to tell stories that connect with people at the human level. Now, if you think about how most organizations answer the question, why would I do business with you? It's a very clinical and prescriptive answer. And it sounds a lot like this. Well, we have great products and services and features, and the warranty we offer is better than any other in the industry, and our customer service people care so much they never sleep during the 168 hours that they have every week. We have great pricing, we have this. Stop. While those factors may be true, and while they may be a part of the equation, they're not the reason that I'm going to trust you, because the issue here is trust. Do I like these people and can I trust them? The most effective way to do this is to tell a story. Now here's the caveat. A story that connects with people at the human level, not the product and the service level. Let me give you an example. I was at a dinner one night in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. This is about 4 years ago. And there were about 25 or 30 business owners at this dinner. I didn't know any of them. So I sat down at the table and a gentleman sits to my left. I introduced myself. Hi, my name is Mike. I said, what's your name? He said, my name is Billy. I said, what do you do for a living, Billy? He said, I just bought a company. Congratulations, what did you buy? I bought a company called Dalton Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Is it located here in Cedar Rapids? No, it's about 100 miles from here to the north and slightly west in a little bedroom community called Cedar Falls. It's up near Waterloo, Iowa. It's a very cool little town. And I said to him, are you just going to stay in the cute little bedroom community of Cedar Falls? Oh no, he interrupted. Oh no, we're not staying in Cedar Falls. He said, we are going to own Iowa. We're going to go to Des Moines. We're going to go to Mason City, Sioux City, Cedar Rapids. We are going to own the state of Iowa. I said, that's pretty ambitious. Let me ask you a realistic question. If my sink backs up, why do I call you? Again, I go back to that fair question that all of us get asked every day. Why in the world would I call you? He gave me the standard clinical, what I call the car dealer answer. You know what the car dealer answer sounds like? Price, selection, service, value, nobody beats us. He said our plumbers are licensed and bonded and insured and drug tested, and they look good and they smell good and they sound good and they show up on time and they wear their pants correctly. I said, stop. Every plumbing parrot on earth is chirping the same nonsense. I need something a little more compelling, because you have to understand something. If I call you and I pick you when my sink backs up, I'm not just giving you money. I'm handing you the keys to the house, literally and figuratively. We underestimate the commitment that a customer makes when they pick us. They're not just bringing money, they're bringing time, trust, they're bringing their reputations, they're bringing their families, they're bringing the very most important parts of their life because they're trusting you. I said, I need a reason to like you and trust you, or I won't hand you the keys. And he says, Jake. I said, who's Jake? He said, he's one of my plumbers. Tell me about Jake. Jake comes to Billy one day and he says, Billy, we have a problem. We got to sit down and close the door and talk. So they sit down. Jake says, listen, I love my job. I love the culture here at Dalton. And I want to be a committed team player. I want to be available on those oddball hours when we have to work. Because we all know if your sink backs up, it never does so on a Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock when they open. Of course it doesn't. When does it back up? 5:30 in the afternoon after they've just closed. The night before Thanksgiving, of course it does. And Jake said, I want to be available during those kinds of hours, but here's the problem. I have 4 kids. Billy interrupts him. Let me tell you how this company works, Jake. And I'm sure at that point, Jake tightened the seatbelt, as you can imagine what he was expecting to hear. You got to get committed. You got to put work first. If you don't want to do the job, there's 100 people in line. You know how it sounds. Billy says, let me tell you how things work here at Dalton. You are a father first. Period. End of story. looked at Billy and I said, do you have any idea what you just said? If Jake feels like he's first as a person, first as a husband, first as a spouse, as a parent, if she feels like she's first as a person, first as a wife, first as a mom, do I think the quality of the work might be a little bit better? Of course I did. I could not transpose what I just heard onto the quality of what they do at Dalton. And I said to Billy, let me tell you something. I don't know Jake. I've never met him. I can't even picture him. Look, I cannot pick this guy out of a police lineup to save my life. But here's what I do know. If I live in Cedar Rapids and my sink backs up and I know you're coming, Jake's the guy. Here's the keys and the credit card. Go. We're done. I said, that story is how you are going to own Iowa. And Billy looks at me and he says, wow, how does that work? And I said, here's how it works. And I have to tell you something. When I said, here's how it works, you know what was going through Mike's mind? Mike, you'd better figure out how this works. I was still shuffling the cards in my mind. I'm sure you've done the same thing. So I said, here's how it works. Let's take Elizabeth, lady named Elizabeth. Let's assume she's a customer. Jake just did a job at her house up in Cedar Falls. Now about a week goes by. Elizabeth gets a box in the mail from Dalton. A box. Not one of those crappy looking brown boxes from Amazon. She gets a colorful, corrugated, expensive box. She knows its quality before she opens it. Inside the box, there's 3 things. Mike, you better figure out what the 3 things in the box were. Yes, at that point in time, I was still figuring out what to put in the box. Number 1, gourmet cookies, better than Grandma ever made. Number 2, a handwritten thank you card from Jake. Handwritten thank you card. Dear Elizabeth, thanks for the opportunity to earn your business. It's been an honor. Jake. A handwritten thank you card is one of the greatest forms of currency we're not using enough of today. And number 3, there's a book written by Billy Pierce, the owner of the company. A beautiful hardback book with thick pages. A black hardcover cloth, matte color cover with gold lettering titled, You Are a Father First. Inscribed by Billy to Elizabeth. Dear Elizabeth, thanks for the opportunity to be handed the keys. Hope you find our stories inspiring. Billy. What's she gonna do when she gets that box? Oh yes, she's gonna talk. Imagine the things she's gonna say. Imagine the pictures, the videos, the stories she's gonna put on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you know where they go. She is a better source of advertising for Dalton than if Billy had run a commercial during the Super Bowl halftime show. She's better. She's better, Billy. Not to mention, she's gonna save you about $7.5 million. You know, that was the cost to run a 30-second commercial in the last Super Bowl. She's better. I said, that story is how you're going to own Iowa. And Billy looks at me and he says, that's a great idea, but the book's not written. I'm like, you better get going. He goes, don't look at me. He goes, I'm a plumber. I got a staff of 60 people that I'm managing who are fixing air conditioners and toilets. Don't look at me. So of course he looks right back at me and he says, well, you can do that, right, Mike? And of course, anytime somebody says to you, you can do that, right? What's the answer? Of course I can. So I looked at him and I said, well, of course I can do that. And I thought to myself, you better be really careful, Mike. You can barely spell the word story, right? So he says, great. Write the story, send me the bill. like, well, I guess we're going now. So I spent about 6 months and I wrote the story, You Are a Father First. It's a very short book. You can read this in about an hour. You can see by the lack of thickness, it's not a very long book. It's a short collection of stories that demonstrates the impact on people's lives when they come first. The impact on their life as an employee, as a spouse, as a parent, showcasing how being first impacts them on the job and off the job. This story has little, if anything, to do with plumbing, heating, and cooling, because the star of the show is not what they do for a living. The star of the show is the story that connects with the reader and the viewer at the human level, demonstrating the fact that this story is what they would want their child or their student to become. You see, the story that connects with people at the human level needs to pass what I call the parent and the teacher test, meaning this. If an average parent or an average teacher that didn't know you heard your story, would the response be, if my kids or my students were half of what this is, they'd have it made? Because when people see a great story like this, what do they do with it? They tell other people. They send it and they send it and they send it. That's how these stories end up going around the earth more than the satellites. Because you have to give people a reason to tell others about you. So if you want people to know who you are and you want people to like you and trust you and do business with you, we have to give them a reason to do so. Being attached to the right story, the story that connects with people at the human level, is clearly a reason for a consumer to say, you know what, I like those people, I trust those people. I don't even know where those people live, I don't even know what they do for a living, but I like them. If you think about it, that's what they're doing every time they hit send. They're telling the world, they're telling their network of people that they trust, these people who represent this story are fantastic. Otherwise, they wouldn't hit send. They would just hit next, right? Stories that connect with human people at the human level are clearly a reason for somebody to say, you know what, I like those people, I trust those people, I want to do business with those people. Whether it's as a candidate who's going to work for you or as a customer who's going to decide to buy from you. This is Antarctic Mike signing off. Thank you.